What's up, outliers, apes, ape outliers, and everything in between? What's going on, everybody? I hope the weekend is off to a stellar start, and we have a solid agenda for today. The first thing that we're going to spend time going through is hopefully get a little bit deeper into RK's old trades. I think we last left off, I'm looking at the sheet, we were in like 22 December of 2020. So we have a little bit ways to go, but I'm excited. It's definitely been taking a little bit longer than I was originally anticipating. Not that there's like a time hack that we have to stick to. The chat just completely disappeared. So, okay, I guess there it is. Like playing whack-a-mole. There we go. But we're getting a chance to go through kind of each position really, really far in detail. And, you know, to start us off, we have to start with any updates to our ape outlier sheet. So if you've already let me know where you're from, don't tell me again. But if I've not added you, let me know, and you can kind of check out the map and see what we might be missing. In the meantime, I got to say hello to everybody. So we got Samoda, we got Lauren, Lance, Der Schlupp, Roaring Clitty, Day Swag, Mock Chicken. In case everybody's wondering, it's Mock Chicken. Pistol Shrimp, that's a cool one. I think we have, I don't know if we have Toronto. We definitely have Ottawa. Let's see, do we have Toronto? Lido. We do not. Now we do. We have Toronto. Beautiful. I think we have Atlanta. You got to be careful moving around Atlanta, though. You don't need to get shot. Nope. We don't have Atlanta. Now we do. Kyoto, Japan. I don't know if we have Kyoto on here. We do not. I think we had one other from, I guess we don't. Now we have Japan on the map. That's great. That's a huge add. Big win for the team. Salt Lake City. Let's see. That's one of the places that we were looking at moving originally. Was not Salt Lake City. We were looking at, I think, North Ogden, like in the mountains here. And then we were looking south somewhere in like Provo, I think. But yeah, we were originally potentially looking at moving there. Then we got 5H trades from Williams, Arizona. Literally never heard of that. Where's that at? Where is Williams? Beaumont. Oh, dude, no way. That's hilarious. So 5H, fun fact. My brother, he's in Flagstaff. So I go out to Flagstaff every once in a while to go see him. But we go south, right? Because I'm in San Diego. So normally we go out the 8 and then up the 17. So yeah, that's hilarious. I just never been, Williams didn't click for whatever reason. But yeah, that's been out there a bunch. And then we got JD. Do we have Iowa? Let's see. Do we have Iowa? We do. Yeah, we have a couple. Well, we can do Iowa proper now and round up. We got a... Oh, no, I don't think we did. Yeah, perfect. So we're rounding this thing out. I think it would be so cool if we hit every U.S. state. That would be fantastic. And then each continent. That's what we need. Jado says Winnipeg, Canada. The Canadians start to make me a little nervous because in our Discord, there's actually the guy that originally helped me set up the Discord from the jump. He is from Canada. He's obviously incredibly nice. This is way back when I first started the whole community. I was moving us over from a Facebook group because I don't really like Facebook. And he helped set the whole thing up for me. But one of my underlying ideas is that he's like slowly building a Canadian army because there are a massive number of Canadians that I'm noticing popping up around. So And then we have Michael Solar from Mobile, Alabama. Fun fact, I call him my stepfather, but really he's kind of like my mentor. He was the high school teacher. He's the one that actually got me he introduced me to investing. He has told me stories about his time down in Alabama. Narooma, Australia. I don't know where that is. North, southwest? Where is this? Where am I? Oh, this is way south. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I had never been over there. I've been to Canberra, and then I did like the Gold Coast, which was sick. When I was in Australia with the Marine Corps, we were up in Darwin. And then there is a big movement down through the strait, all the way down through here, down to Adelaide, Adelaide was sick. Really, really liked Adelaide. And then I had some time to go over to the Gold Coast, which was sick. Åland Islands, Finland. J-Poc, is that like, are you Tupac's cousin? Careful, because they're still out there. That's hilarious. We were looking at going here, but they looked really small. So we opted out of it for now, at least, but maybe we'll land there. Cool. So we got a couple new updates on our map. I think we got the gang in here. So we'll kill this off, and then let's do a quick refresh on where we're at and what we're doing. So I need to grab the bottom of this. There we go. So what we've been doing is going through each of his trade updates and essentially tracking what the positions were. And then I started adding some qualitative notes around when he's managing the positions to close, because I'm very, very interested in those personally. And the primary reason why I'm so interested in those is because I think we're going to see some common threads that we will start to learn from in terms of how he's thinking about options. Because I've said this before, I think right now, when I look at his options positions, I genuinely see them as just leveraged long exposure. They're not seemingly predicated on a certain amount of time in the trade yet, but my guess is that's what we're going to find, is that they're going to be predicated by time, not by some sort of price target. So I told Newton that if he wanted to chat a little bit during this one, he had a busy week, so he can't, but I told him I would shoot him a text with where we left off. So I'm going to let him know that we're picking up from 22 Dec 2020, and that we'll follow up with where we land on RK trades. So kind of a placeholder for me, but let's take a look. All right, so now we have to do this thing that I do every time because I don't know how to do this still. And this is not any of your fault, actually. This is my own fault because I accidentally forgot how to like automatically scroll to the bottom, which is kind of annoying. So I have to like do this. Somebody told me how to do this before, but I don't remember. There was like a hotkey. Anybody here know the hotkey? Otherwise, I'm just going to start scrolling. But I wonder if I can be enlightened before I start the scrolling process. And then I have two versions of this open on purpose. And the reason why I'm using two versions is because I would like to make sure that we can look at near-term stuff and then stuff that's from obviously all the way down at the bottom. All right, so everybody's leaving me out here hanging to dry. So I'm going to just start scrolling. Here we go. So it's not like the page down thing, because that only gets you to the bottom of this. It doesn't get us all the way to the very bottom. Which actually I realized we don't even have to do that. I'm an idiot. My bad. We literally can start further up. Sometimes you guys got to keep an eye on me. Like sometimes I just do really, really stupid shit. That Lauren says, sorry, you said it last week, but I forget to. Damn it, Lauren. We were really leaning on you here because obviously I can't be trusted. So I'm going to blame you. Now that you admitted that you at least were rudimentarily familiar with it, I'm going to say that I expected you to keep us on track. And then I think, yeah, as long as I can have a scapegoat. Lance says we didn't leave off at the bottom there, but yeah, exactly. No, the only reason why I like going down to the bottom is because there's good references, I think. And we're going to end up referencing it again, I'm sure. But anyways, let's get to where we need to be, which is somewhere right up here. Yeah, so I think we got through December. What a fucking hilarious. Yeah, okay, so here's where we're at. Let me grab my little handy dandy workbook. And I think last time I put this over here. That worked well. And then I can squish this, I think, so that you can see most of it. You won't be able to see my notes, I don't think, but I'll track them, obviously. And we left at 22 December. Okay. So, and then the other thing I need to do is get into on demand because we were tracking as individual trades in here. And then I'm going to go back to the correct time. So we need to go to 2020. Is it 21? Wait, no, 2020. That's why. Okay. So we don't have the positions yet. That's annoying. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So we need to go to December of 2020. We'll go to the 22nd. We'll look at the day as it sits. And I saved all of his old positions, I think. If not, I can reconstitute them really quick. I might have reset the account at one point. It's not a big deal. No, we still have them all. So then we'll use this as a quick fact check. I'm going to turn these ones off. I think these were from an example that I was giving. So let's mirror these really fast with exactly what he had. So we need this. And then I'm going to pull this over here just for a moment. Let's go into 22 December. And then let's mirror this account. So we're long 10,000. We have that. Oops. 10,000 at 411.33. We have that. Good. Next, we need 15 Jan, the 10s and the 20s. 15 Jans, the 10s and the 20s. So I'm going to get rid of these other ones. I'm just going to get rid of all this stuff. We'll add that. So now I need to go to 15 Jan, which is now 24 DTE. I remember this being very interesting to me. And then the way that he unwound those other options was very interesting to me. And then his paid price was 0.0726, and he has 1,000, I believe. Yep, 1,000. And then he has 0.0726. So we'll analyze that. You got those other ones for 20. Yep. And then we have one other trade, 16 April 12th. So now we go to 16 April, again, super far out in time. And I'm sure he has 1,000 of these. And then he's at 40 cents on these, 0.4. Okay. Cool. So now we have his whole position. We'll be able to see it day by day. We have our little tracker ready to go so that we can monitor any incremental changes. So we are ready to rumble. Let's take a look now at 23Ds. So now this is 23Ds. And just so you know, I'm being lazy. These are all showing as 2024. I obviously know that these are all 2021. So I'll kind of color them in just so that we're all on the same page and we're confident together. But I just don't want to have to keep typing more than I need to. So that's why that's set up as it is, just so that you're aware that I'm aware. Also, quick drug take. I got my doctor's appointment set up for next Thursday. your boy's getting an epidural of steroids to help with the whole disc thing. So maybe, just maybe, I won't have to mainline drugs in order to at least be able to sit. Okay. 23 December. We're off to the races. So we have no change in any of the positions, but let's take a look at our TG. So we're at 2483, 257.63. Cash in the account is 1116796.64. And total value is 3709,996.64. Okay, same. And here, so he's still holding the 10s and 20s. And now 1 day has passed, which, why is that? Why did he bother posting here? So let's take a look at the gaps between these, just out of curiosity. If we look at, I'm actually, because I'm very specific with the way that I like to input data, I really don't like skipping things. So I'm going to put the post date here, and then I'll put the gap here. But what I don't understand is why this, like, why here? Yeah, because I noticed that right out of the gate is when I look at his posting frequency, a couple things jump out at me. And one of the things that I noticed is, like, he went not posting a lot. Then he was going about a week in between his updates, which makes a ton of sense, right? Like posting a weekly update. That's like a very normal cadence. But then I noticed this, it starts getting like really recent. And I don't know why. If any of you do, tell me why, please, so that I can wonder no more. But right now I am wondering a lot because I don't actually get this. And then this, I'm just going to pull down a little bit further because we're going to keep going here. Dark Jen says, I think we get one more downturn before GME moons. DFV unlikely in yet. Yeah, we'll definitely take time to bounce between different theories. You know, I love looking at some of those theories. So I am 100% down to take a look. Because the other thing that I got from the Discord is somebody was asking about the dark pool orders that we recently got, which I think is worth taking a look at. That Lauren says, was it in December 2021 that he posted a lot? Yeah. So what I noticed in December is that the frequency between posts went up a lot, or like the latency between posts went down, frequency of posts went up. So right now, like I'm typically seeing him do like once a month or once a week, sorry. For, you know, October, November, right? That's like a very steady cadence. It's about once a week. But then in December, I can already see that like he went from the 8th, the 9th, the 22, 23. So and then there's a 25th. So I haven't, like, I don't understand why the uptick in frequency here. And then I'm actually going to shrink this one down a little bit. Let me know if that becomes not visible for you, but it just makes it a little easier for me to move. So the total gain, and I got to move this mic a little bit so I can see my keyboard. Also, shout out to the 75 apes that are in here hanging out. Whether you're an ape, outlier ape, all are welcome because, as we all know, this story in and of itself is about as interesting as it gets. So let's take a look at this total gain. So 2393,557.63. Total cash in the account looks generally unchanged. 1116831.85. And then value is 3620331.85. Did I mess something up? That looks correct. 362033185. That looks correct. 2393. Yep, I messed up. 2393 55763. 2393 55763. That's correct. Interesting. So I'm detecting a variance here. And I'm trying to... Positions haven't moved. So what happened here? Wait, this looks... Is it just off by like... This looks... What is this doing? Eight, 9, 6, 6, 4. This matches. I don't know why this is showing is... It doesn't match. It does match. This and this are the same. Is it a... I can't tell if there's like a formatting issue here. I'm just going to highlight this as green because this looks correct. Yeah, I'm going to highlight this one as green because this is good. So there's no problem. I think this one had the same issue with like a rounding discrepancy. So I'm going to flag this as green. Okay. And then here we're still holding these. And now we have 25 Ds. So now we have 21 DTE that we still hold those options. Interesting so far. And then this one is also good. I just realized that's incorrectly flagged. Okay. All right, so now let's take a look. Yeah, 31 Ds. So this to me looks like he's just enjoying posting more. That's what I see here. Like it's got to be something to do with the account. Like take a look at the account. Well, he already saw $2 million. So this isn't anything about novel. This isn't novel about being above 2 million. He was already there. So it's not like he's like, oh yeah, you know, you guys have been calling me fucking crazy and I'm right. So that's interesting. So total gain here is negative 107,200. That's fucking crazy. That is fucking crazy. Wow. Man, I'm still like absorbing this. We have to take a look on the chart here because this is fucking crazy. 3183 460 99. I've moved the wrong column here. 1953 457.63. There we go. This makes way more sense. I was just being stupid. I was reading this is the total gain, not the day gain. Him losing $100,000 in a day is kind of whatever. Rowan Clitty says, I mean, 1 million gain in a day still feels good, even if you've already been there. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree. I think my point is like for the lay person, like a normal human being, I would expect them to, you know, if they're doing this, you can look at this on Reddit, right? Like if you go to any subreddit, you can take a look at like very, very clear lines. If people are doing well, And there's actually literally studies about this that are really fun to look at. But if people are doing really well, they post a lot more frequently. And then if the market's not looking really good, I'm adjusting my chair because my stuff's all fucked up. There it goes. And if things are not going well, people tend to post way less. So, but he doesn't, like, I can tell he doesn't subscribe to that, right? Like I don't think he's starting to post more here because he's making some money. Like, I just don't see that. That doesn't seem to be his MO. But what does seem to be interesting is that he's still holding these positions that now at 31 D's 21. What did I mess up? 31 December 21. Oh, I see. That's my bad. 15 Jan 22. So Nea is 15 DTE. Vladimir says, Eric, with all due respect, there is a lot being added to the story that a spreadsheet based on numbers alone will not capture. Yeah, I'm confused. What's your point? Because I'm not, in no way what I'm doing now am I suggesting that this is like the GameStop story or Newton's story. Newton, I don't know why I say Newton. Newton's on the brain, sorry. Or Roaring Kitty story. Yeah, I've not suggested that, Mr. Off Putin. The point of this part of the series is very specifically to analyze his trades. That's the point. The reason why I look at this is because I think we can get way more information on his behaviors, habits, what he sees. And most importantly, I don't know anybody that I've heard talk about his previous trades that I personally would take at face value, personally. And that's not that like I mistrust people because I think that they're trying to lie or, mislead me. I think it's that people themselves tend to not understand how biased their recollection and analysis of things are. So the whole point of this is for me to see for myself, and as I'm seeing for myself, to show you, again, what I'm seeing right now, specifically from the trade perspective. Now, in terms of like going to the rest of the story and stuff, like I said, I love doing that and I fully intend to, right? Like we've done 11 episodes of this now, and this is only the third one that we're like focused on the trades. I haven't done it yet. So yeah, I completely agree. And now off Putin, to your point, if there are offshoots that you think we should, take a break and go look at while we're doing this because it's temporally related, like the Edgar story or something, let me know, right? Because that's the point. You guys as a community will know more about this collectively than I ever will. And that's just how it is. So I fully lean and want to blend both of our collective intellect. So in this case, if there's something that you think we should jump over to that like helps elucidate where we're at in the timeline, I'm happy to. But yeah, right now, my entire goal is to understand exactly what he's doing, what his habits are, what the trades look like. And again, the whole point of this whole thing is not to try to replicate what he's doing. Because again, that's not how I trade. I literally don't care to do that. It's because I've been in trading for so long and I am literally staring at a fucking anomaly and I can see it. I can watch the anomaly doing anomalous things, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, I am eager to figure out where this all goes, but step by step. Because right now, again, I've already identified some really, really clear trends and themes that I can clearly identify. So when I look at this, again, like first I can tell that he takes massively leveraged positions. Two, I can also tell that he takes massive amounts of concentrated risk that he leaves on. 3, I can tell you that he doesn't use stops of any sort. 4, I can tell you that in terms of portfolio volatility, he is entirely null to it. 5, I can tell you that he doesn't manage his options trades based on any sort of perceived profit or loss target. So there's a lot of like very specific things that I can pick up from his habits from this exact process. So let's take a look. Sam Clemens says, why would we not want to trade like the guy who made $1 billion? It's a great question. The reason why is because if as a trader, your model of trading is an attempt to copy somebody else, I literally have never seen it done successfully. And the reason being is because in order to like fully copy somebody else, you either have to know what they're doing before they're doing it to do it with them, or you have to adopt their entire brain, literally. Because again, we'll see, and because we know as we go further into the future, we'll see periods. I mean, let's look at an example together. And I'll ask you this. So if we take a look at this, and let me make it so that the quality is at least decent. So here's a dude. I'm going to zoom it in so you can see. Here's a dude that in an individual day, his trading account right now was at $350 million. He was down $235 million in a day. Genuinely. If you were thinking about being this guy, is this what you would do? The only person that would say yes is the kind of person that says yes with the benefit of hindsight, knowing what may or may not happen. And really the benefit of hindsight is terrible, right? Because this went even lower from here. So the whole point is that his disposition, his mentality towards trading is so anomalous. It is literally contrary to human genetic processing. It's completely different. And I'm not saying that it's unique to only him. It's not. There are other people out there that have some of these similar tendencies. But what I'm saying is that they are so few and far between that for most of us, for example, me, if I had this position and I was trying to, trade this position or whatever, there's no way that I wouldn't have a stop on these options. Why is that? Why would I worry about having a stop on the options? Because I know that these options will continue to decay. I know that. So I would rather capture the profit as it starts to realize than let it turn into a loss. That's like a relatively normal trader's mindset. His mindset is obviously completely different, which is why it's so freaking cool. But it's also why the idea of trying to essentially adopt what he does and do it yourself would fail miserably unless you have the ability to completely adopt his psychology, which again, to reiterate the point, is a pure anomaly. It's a pure anomaly because, again, the other thing I can tell you is that this dude doesn't really care that much about money. Obviously, he probably cares about money to a degree. I know that he has a family and he wants to take care of his family and stuff like that. Like, I know all of that. But he could have never opened up another trade. And he could have lived the rest of his life with more money than he could ever need. But he chose not to. So it tells me something else about what motivates him and why he does this. So all of this is to go back to Sam's question on why would we not want to trade like a guy who made $1 billion, is because in order to trade like him, you have to adopt his entire worldview, his entire paradigm. And I do not think the overwhelming majority of people can do that because it is so unique. It is so anomalous. That's why. Cedric says maybe he sees something that gives him insane win rate if certain conditions are right. Potentially. But I can also tell you, again, by looking at the data, that it's not true, right? Because there's obviously he's a fantastic trader, but he's not great at timing things so far. So what it tells me is that he's good at taking repeated risks, highly concentrated, and then letting the numbers kind of work out, which again, there is a portion of this that is like a coin flip. There is a certain amount of luck that's tied to this. Because one of the things that I look at is this here, right? Like he was already over $2.2 million, and then he contracts down 8 days later in his total gain to 932. So he cut his value of his portfolio in half in 8 days. If there happened to be a bad path for GameStop, again, for one of any innumerable reasons, then this account can literally be zeroed out because of bad path. So in this case, I think that, again, brilliant thesis, brilliant conviction, really good use of leverage, right? Like I can identify lots of really good things that happened here. But I continue to remind people that there is a healthy dose of luck that's included with this, which again is also important to remind people, because when we look at somebody like Sam, who asks a really normal question of why wouldn't we want to try to do this? Well, it's because of all of these different reasons, because it's not just skill that led to this. Again, skill, massive factor. Luck, also massive factor. So that's why I'm so eager to see how the rest of this goes, because we're getting a chance, we're getting a glimpse inside of what this all looks like from a trading perspective, which I'm like really, really excited for. I'm going to just replace really quick. I want to find 2024 and I want to replace it with 2021. No, I don't want that. I don't want to use a formula. Why is there no 2024 in here? There is 2024. Don't lie to me. Oh, so it considers it a formula. Okay. Good to know. Okay. So now let's continue. And so we just did 31 Ds. Now we are in 5 Jan 22. Okay. So we see a change. We can immediately see that he offloaded the 10s, which again is not what I would have expected. That's not what I would have expected at all. That's crazy. 881.474.03. That's nuts. Hash now is 1128.502.42. Value is 2803.002.42. Confirm that these are correct. 881.474.03. 1128.502.42. 2803.002.42. Okay. So the first thing I notice is that he's missing a lot of money. There's a big variance between what should be in the portfolio right now and what is. So I find that very interesting. Because his cash is sitting at essentially up 8 grand. The total gain down $1 mil. Obviously, because one of his positions came down, but it's not captured in the cash. So this here looks like he took some money out of the account. Off Putin says you missed that he just added 40K GME shares. Yeah, I haven't even gotten into the updated positions. Off Putin, I feel like this process confuses you because you did the same thing last time. Every single change that is going to happen in the account is going to be captured in these metrics. I don't have to look at the individual positions to note changes, because regardless of where they go, I can still see them, right? So because to your point, when I'm looking at the change in individual positions, that's going to be captured in total gain cash relative to value. So I'm going to see all of that. Now, to your point, I am going to go through and update all of his trades because I can also see that he unwound an options trade. But what I'm highlighting more specifically is that money moved. That's the point here, is that a decent amount of money came out of this. So if I add another column to maybe help with this point, if we take a look at like the overall value compared to what's in there. So like in this case, there's like a $600,000 value variance here. Putin says from the previous statement to the one you're looking at, he went from 10 to 50K. Yeah, I know, dude. I know. I'm aware. I'm following you, bro. He also offloaded 1,000 options. I'm right there with you. Again, the point that I'm trying to make no mistake says the spreadsheet is flawed. The stock price dropped. The account value dropped 380K, which makes sense. It's not. So the reason why this isn't relative to the stock price. It doesn't matter what the stock price is. It doesn't change the variance that I see, right? Because the stock price moved here as well, right? And these matched perfectly. The stock price also changed over the course of this month. And again, they matched perfectly. Rapture says lots of people misunderstanding what you're looking at. Yeah, I'm noticing that, and that's okay. But what I don't know. I honestly don't know how to describe like what I'm looking at. I'm essentially trying to detect money variances within the account. And then in doing so simultaneously, I'm looking at when he's managing positions and how. So like, for example, on this 5 Jan expiration, I can clearly see that he managed some of these calls, which we're going to talk about. But I need to update this really quick. This needs to be 5 Jan 22. So with 10 DTE. Because I think that this matters. I don't know how it matters yet, but I think it does. So here he exited as well. We'll flag that and we'll flag that. And then here, oh no, he didn't exit here, my bad. He exited here. So no, I was right. So here he exited the 10s, which I just would not expect that. 15 Jan 21 10s. Just don't get. We have some homework to do, gang. I need to figure this out. Why? Why did he do this? Okay, so now let's update his position. He had them for 20 and he exited somewhere between 31 Dec and 5 Jan. That shouldn't be too difficult to detect. So if we think about 20, what year are we in now? 22. And we look at 31 Dec, which is Monday. And then 5 Jan is that Saturday. The market would have been closed, I think, the 1st. So he would have exited either the 2nd, 3rd, or the 4th. So what's bizarre about this is, let's go here. And then let's go to like the end of Dec of 21. Something like this. So there's a lot here that's, oops, messed up, my bad. I have to get the right options. We have to go to 2020, that's my bad. These 2020, the 31st. Because these will still trade. So now, let's take a look at what charting were we using? We had a good charting tool that let us go back in time. Was it Yahoo Finance? When I say good, I think that's relative because it seems to be annoying every time we look at it. But I think Yahoo Finance is what we've been using for GameStop. And then let's take a look. We want the full chart. And then we need to go back further. Let's go to I don't want month, I want daily candles. And then let's go back to December 2020. Okay, here. So this is where we're at. Okay. So what happened here? The 5th of Jan. So he would have gotten out somewhere in here. So the 31st he posted. And then the next trading day was the 4th of Jan. So he would have gotten out, not here, but he would have gotten out on the 4th. Because the 4th or the 5th. I don't think it really matters that much. But it would have been the 4th or the 5th. This is January 21 right now. Cedric says we were looking at 22. No, we're looking at 21. So the positions that we're kind of catching up on right now are these 15 Jan 21s, the 20s and the 12s in 16 April, but he obviously got out of the 10s. Now, the thing that is just so strange, Rhino asks, Eric, what's off about selling the 10s? It's a great question. So what I find so weird about taking the 10s down is when we look at the movement of GameStop, and again, if we go to, so it wasn't the 31st that he did it. We know that for sure. It would have been like January, what, the 5th we said? Or is that when his update was? 5 Jan. So it would have been 4 Jan. So the thing that's so interesting about this is that when I look at the options that he had, the 10s would have been in a better position to hold than the 20s. But by holding the 20s, man, I don't know why he would do that. Okay, so let me explain. I know I'm not explaining. It is because I'm trying to process at the same time. And by doing that, I'm explaining nothing. So I apologize. So let's look at an example. This will probably make it a little more clear to you. So when I take a look at his position here, and let's go back 1 to 31 Ds. Okay, so we're looking at two different sets of options. We're looking at 1,000 in both, okay? So you don't have to know anything else other than these 10s will have, well, let me ask you, what will the delta of these 10 calls be compared to these 20 calls here? Why is this? Rhino says, is there more premium in the 10s and he probably wanted more contracts that will go in the money eventually? Potentially. We'll be able to sift that out, but it's a great point right now. Roaring Clitty says 10 delta way higher. Dr. Zayas, 10 delta will be higher. Exactly. Okay, great. So now, if you had this position on, and let's think about another really important point. So the day that he's posting this, 31 Ds and then 5 Jan. So now his options expire 15 Jan. Which of these options is going to have more theta decay? The 10s or the 20s? Right now, in this last update, GameStop was at 1884. If we go to this point, it's at 17. Which one of these options is going to have more theta decay? The 20s. Blonde Swayze is correct. The 20s. So then, why? Why would we keep the 20s on and not the 10s? There's essentially one scenario I can think of, which is confounding to me. Rapture says he's hunting for gamma exposure. Technically, he was still bullish. The gamma exposure doesn't matter, right? So Raptures, walk me through that thought process. Why would he care about gamma in this case? If he has, let's go back to this scenario where he has the 10s and the 20s. Why? What does gamma have to do with this in your mind? Roaring Clitty says, if you're very sure the stock is going to push significantly past the 20 strike, they would compound a lot harder than the 10s. They would compound harder. But which one would you actually make more money in? Roaring Clitty is wrong. Roaring Clitty's on a very good and fair thought process. I understand it, but it's wrong. It has nothing to do with that. Because in this case, would I make more money with the 10s or the 20s? I have the same size in both. I have 1,000 of both. We just said that the 10s are higher deltas. Cedric says the 20s. That's incorrect. The 20s would not make more money. Cedric says big money if bullish. Again, that's incorrect. The 10s pay more. This is a really, really, really important point. So let's look at this together really quick. We'll look in GameStop and we'll just use today for an example. It doesn't really matter. And let's take a look. We can look at options that are going to come up in like, what is this? Like 10 days. So we'll use like the 4 ox or whatever. It doesn't matter. The example will be the same. So now let's take a look at make no mistake says if price drops, the 10 would lose value quicker because they have a higher delta. That's correct. Yep. So the 10s would lose more money. But again, I can already tell you that he doesn't care about the losing money part. We've already seen him go through this. So I don't think that's it either. Day Swag says it's a guess, lock in a known profit and keep the other for a YOLO on big volatility. Both of them are showing a profit still. So I don't think that's it either. Rhino says he's betting on the squeeze, so he's doubling down since he already has 50x his port. He's going for higher risk by losing the 10s and going way out of the money. He already has this position though, so it's not that either, right? So he's maintained this position for a long time. He established this back in like 25 November of even before that, actually. So he's had this position for a long time. Now, to drive this other point home, hopefully to its entirety, I want to show you something. So if we take something, again, I'm just going to use the same scenario. GameStop was trading at $18.84. So he had options that were $8 in the money. So essentially we can do the same thing in this case. We can just pick options that are $8 in the money. So we can go to like these 13s. We could pretend that we bought these for whatever price. Let's just say that we got them for 20 cents for the example, and we have 1,000 of them. This simulates his 10s that are $8 in the money. I'm going to turn the other ones off for now so that we can just look at this example together. Then with GameStop at $18.84, he also had options that were $1.20 higher. So that would take us to like these 23s. And again, he had 1,000 of those. And then he would have got those again, in this case, for like 7 cents. Not slash decimal 07. First, let me take a pause. Does what I'm doing right now make sense? Do you understand why I'm picking these options to show you? What I'm doing is I'm creating a current date example of what his position would look like. And what I'm going to show you is how these two different positions behave based on similar size moves. Because Reese says none of this makes sense, but yes, I'm following. That sounds about right. Because, I mean, this is all crazy. So what I'm showing you, though, jokes aside, is I'm showing you what these 10s and these 20s would have looked like for him. And I just want to show you the P&L difference, because that's a big, right? That's a big part of making decisions as a trader, is understanding the movement of a position. So let's take a look at it. These 10s were in the money. The 20s that he had were slightly out of the money. So we're using the 13s, which serve as the 10s, the 23s, which serve as the 20s. So if I take a look at the 23s, which again look like the 20s, and we take a look at a 15% up move, the underlying goes up by 15%. And again, I'm using the same entry price that he would have gotten into. So it's literally as close to an apples to apples comparison as you can come up with options that are obviously offset by time. Apples, otherwise. So now when I look at this, I see 7 cents. And if he got a 15% up move in this case, he would have made $283,000. If he would have had a 15% down move, he would have still made $12,000 because they're so far in the money. That, again, is looking at the 23s, which serve as the 20s. Let's take a look at the 13s. With the 13s, if he gets a 15% move in his favor, he makes $1.186 million. That serves as the 10s. That's in comparison to 283,000, he would make 1.186. If the underlying goes down 15%, he would still make $567,556. So even if it goes down 15%, he still would make way more with these options than these other options. The other thing to add on top of this is the difference in extrinsic value. These options, let's do the math. The 23s The 23s are trading for, let's call it $1.05. And they're decaying at 6 cents a day. So $6 divided by 105 as a percentage is 5.7%. So again, in a surrogate sense, these 20s are decaying away daily at a rate of 5.7% of the options value. If we go to the 13s, these are trading for, let's call it $8.90. Theta on these is $3 divided by $8.90 times 100. These are decaying at 0.34%. These options are decaying light years slower than these. On a daily basis, as a gross dollar amount, we can do that as well. Let's take a look. He has 1,000 contracts, right? So, and I'm walking you through the math so you could do it yourself. He has 1,000 contracts times 6 cents times 100. He's losing $6,000 a day on this position here. If we take a look at this, he has 1,000 contracts at 3 cents. He's losing $3,000 per day. So even in a raw theta decay perspective, he does way better holding the in the monies, offloading the out of the monies. Make no mistake, says, what are we trying to prove here? RK made the wrong decision. No. I'm not saying he made the wrong decision at all. What I'm saying is he made a non-optimized decision, which to me means there's a reason why the decision was made. I have no fucking clue what it is, but I'm trying to understand the thought process behind it, because as I look at the decision across every single threshold of managing an options trade, it's suboptimal across the board, each individual thing. But again, as I said in the beginning, there are like 2 things that I can think of that somebody would do this for. The first reason is because he wanted more dollars. So as we already identified, he went from 10,000 shares and he expanded to 50,000 shares at 14,897. The problem here is, let's take a look at what that would cost. We can do some quick math. So we now have 50,000 shares and his basis is 14,88947. So his cost here equals this times this. So total cost here is $744,735. Before, he had 10,000 shares. And his basis was 4.1133, 4.1133. Same thing. So now equals this minus this. So he needed, Blood Swayze says, my guess he could buy more shares with the premium from the 10 at the 4th. Unfortunately, it's not true. He already had what he needed. So if you take a look, can you guys see the far right hand side over here, kind of like where some of this scratch stuff is? If not, let me know. But this is where the answer is, which is telling me that he didn't need it. Because what happened here is he went from 10,000, which was a total basis of 41K, to 50,000, which is a total basis of 744. The delta between these, the variance, is $703,602. So that's what he needed. He needed $703,602. in order to put on this new position. Take a look at his cash. What do you notice? Something very important. Do you see what I see? Rhino says no cursing. There's children watching. Thank you for the heads up. Happy to call the cursing. You got it. Had cash, plenty. 5H is exactly correct. 5H is 100% correct. He already had enough money. So he didn't need to sell those options. It wasn't for cash, which for me, that would have been the primary reason. Rhino says, I'm talking about me. Oh, Rhino, how old are you? If you're on here looking at this stuff, then cursing is probably on the board. And I got to be honest with you. I normally curse, but I can easily turn it off if there's a good reason. Rhino says 32. Yeah, then you're fucking fine, homie. Unbelievable that you're going to cause me to audit and filter myself, and there's no fucking reason to. Unbelievable. So now, because that takes a lot of brain capacity for your boy. That's like, it can be done, but I have to like really think about it. All right, so all of this stuff aside, what do we know now? There's a couple things that we know with certainty. He did not need to sell either of these. He had the money to buy the shares that he wanted. He also, across the board, unwound a completely suboptimal position. And I don't know why. I do not know why. And the reason why is because across the board, it would have made so much more sense to take the 20s down and then to leave the 10s. He would have made more money in total either direction. And they decay way, way, way less quickly. So this is a question mark. This is one of those things that I kind of earmark as something weird happened, and I don't know what. Brett says, is it possible that he sold some but exercised 400 of them to get the 50K? It wouldn't make any sense to do that. No. He could have, but it would have made no sense. I know that people are like really interested in the exercise scenarios, and it's fair. Let's talk about it. So let's see. These were trading for $8.90. So what's our extrinsic value? These are, let's go. We can use the same thing that we're looking at now. It's all the same. So 2185 minus 13 is 885. So in this scenario, he had 885 intrinsic value. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just showing you an example of something. This is obviously looking at the front expiration, meaning today, but it doesn't matter. The example will hold about the same. So let's say that he has about 5 to 10 cents of extrinsic value. Let's call it 10 cents, which is $10 per contract times 1,000 contracts. That's essentially lighting $10,000 on fire. I don't think he did that. So the reason why I don't think he exercised is because it doesn't, it literally, again, it's just tremendously economically inefficient. He would be better by just buying. The other thing we can do actually is to just figure out essentially what the let me see. So we added 40,000. Give me 1 second. I need to do a little bit of math. What I'm doing is I'm going to take a look at the exact basis. Blonde Swayze said, so he sold them and took the cash out of his account. Cash moved for sure. I don't know where or why, but cash did move. And this looks like Dayswag says citing 10,000 on fires, 10,000 on fire when he lit 200 million on fire. I'm not thinking or caring one way or the other, but it's funny to think of something was done. Well, the thing is, where do you mean that he lit 200 million on fire? Where did that happen? Because here's what I can tell you. Here's what Off Putin says from the DFV chat after the 5gen was posted, Redditor. Maybe you should use that 1.1 million to buy more shares. You've been sitting on that cash for a while. DFV, maybe I will. Yeah, well, that's after this, right? So he already did. So he already bought more. So if we take a look at this, if we look at the total position here, here's what we would do. We would take equals. So we would take this times this less this times this divided by this minus this. So this tells me essentially, let me grab this. And then now we need to take the total cost of these positions. So this equals this minus this divided by this minus this. That's what he added the shares for. So the basis that he got into the shares for was 1759. So this also tells me, again, definitively, that he did not exercise because the basis is much higher than what his strike was. Cedric says, sorry for spam, but market makers aren't hedging for exercise for the tens. They are. Of course they are. What are you talking about? That's exactly what they're doing. Uh-oh. Mel's hit me up for dinner. I'm going to try Mexican. See if I can get Mexican through. Cedric says they already did. It's my point. Lauren says no Mexican. Damn it, Lauren. That's what I was going to go for. Fuck. Then maybe no Mexican. Cedric says for the 20s, they still have some hedging to go. Yeah, but it's not a big position. Like he's not going to create a gamma ramp for himself by that at all. There's nowhere near enough in that case. Yeah. So I don't think so. Calls on Mexican. Yeah, I'm going to try Mexican. We'll see what else she comes back with. It'll be a fight for the ages, but we'll see what we can do. I mean, I feel like Mexican would be great. Who's in the mood for some Mexican? Rapture says, what if the 20s had a bunch of OI at the time? I don't think that matters. I don't think that would change anything here. Blonde Swayze says, how much did he sell the 10s for? We could figure that out. I don't really care enough to, if I'm being honest with you. But we could figure it out by looking at the change in the portfolio. It would just be a little bit annoying, I think, and not like actually very elucidating. So yeah. Okay. So I think we've analyzed this enough at this point, though, that we know a few things happened. We know without a doubt that there's some really strange behavior here. We know that he clearly chose to take the in the monies down while holding the out of the monies, which are still decaying. We know that that doesn't actually make sense from a holding perspective. It just doesn't make sense because no matter what, he doesn't stand to make as much, and he doesn't stand to make as much to the downside if things go against him. So this is just a very, very anomalous day. And I'm actually going to add a note here. The 21, the 20s stood to lose around 6K per day in theta. The 10s were at 3K. Didn't need money to buy the 40K shares. Had enough in the account already. Just a couple notes for you, boy, because don't really know. Lauren, I don't know if you're on the same page as my wife, but Mel literally goes, is there anything that's not Mexican that you are open to this evening? Oh, poor Mel. I've told you guys, I don't really care about eating. So like I'll eat the same stuff over and over and over again and not really care. But I'll see, maybe we'll try like Italian. I feel like Italian is an okay compromise. Italian's always good. All right, so that Lauren, okay, so it looks like, so Reese, fun fact, there was, Mel and I, after we have dinner, we always go for a walk because it's good for your digestive system. And we started that a while ago. And one night she was telling me like on the walk that she literally tuned into the live stream at some point to figure out if I ordered dinner yet. And it was like right as I was ordering dinner, which is hilarious that she was using that as like the benchmark. I thought that that was hilarious. But yeah, I think, oh, there's also this other place that she really likes called Karl Strauss. I actually bet she'll go for Karl Strauss. Except I can't send it. I bet you she'll jump on this one. So here we'll do probably like a burger, I bet. And then I think we're good. Oh, they have good chicken tacos. Never mind. We got to do chicken tacos. I don't know about fish tacos. That's never been my ish. I don't know if that's acceptable or not. Fish tacos I feel like are okay, but definitely not my preferred. Here we go. Rhino says, would you ever live in the Keys or Puerto Rico? No, definitely not the Keys. The Keys, they have just a disgusting amount of insects like flies and shit that tend to just destroy my life. So yeah, definitely not that. I would be down for, I don't know. I think something like Puerto Rico, I would do temporarily or like do it for, you know, periods of time. But yeah, I don't think that would be my go-to personally. It's a little not my climate as I consider it. Perfect. We are Gucci. Dayswag says, does San Diego have a culture for a certain food specialty? Probably Mexican, I would say. Yeah, I don't really care for Californian food much. It's kind of, I don't know. I view it as like very whatever. I much prefer New York stuff. New York food is just light years better in general, I believe. But it's not like terrible, but it's definitely not great. Sweet. All right, so we're on to the next. Rhino says, I'll be in San Diego, Carlsbad, February for a con. Yeah, dude, if you come out here, let me know. Hit me up. I am around. Sometimes. It depends on when in February, because hopefully my back will be better. Well, the sciatica stuff will be better by then, because I'm going to keep rehabbing the disc stuff so that we're going to get back on our travel schedule. But all right, so now we need to go catch up and we need to move on. So now we did 5 Jan, so now we need 11 Jan. Lonsways says, new guest kept his buying power, increased his share position a lot. Could have been, but I don't actually see why. I mean, we'll find out. But I don't see why he would do that. All right, let's take a look now at, we are in 11 Jan 21. So 11 Jan 21. Total gain here is now 1,236,974.03. The cash on hand is about the same. So 11,288,42.2. And then the total value is 3,158,842.2. Same. So I don't see the large variance at this point between the account value. So it does look like he previously pulled capital out. Again, I'm not sure why. And then he has the same residual positions. The fascinating part is he still has these 20 calls. That's crazy at this point. That's absolutely crazy. So he's still holding these 15 Jan 20s. They literally expire in 9 days. 4 days, my bad. What on earth? I just don't understand this. Fascinating. So same position now. We're long 50. Dr. Zay says, does him holding 20s the longer influence the gamma ramp? No, not really. Yeah, no, it's a fair speculation. I think it's totally fair. That's kind of the whole point, is to, take guesses here. I just do not see at all why he would do this. So 122,723 on those. $87.23. 153. Yeah, see, like, this is the problem. If you go back to December, even when, and this is theta decay. This is literally a perfect example of theta decay for you. So this is literally perfect. So when we look at his position on these 20s, we can see that his total gain here is $289,000. This is when GameStop was trading at 2015. Now, if we go to where we are now, 11 Jan, GameStop is trading at 1994, so about the same price, but these 20s are now only showing him $122,700. So that's like 150 grand almost that essentially went away just because of theta decay. And again, there's a slight delta component to it, but it's slight. The majority of this variance comes from theta decay, which is crazy. And again, it's why managing these 20s earlier just makes sense across the board. I just don't understand this. 13th. I just don't get it. This is crazy. 13 Jan 21. Total gain is 3866 97403. Hash is 1128842.2. And then value is 5788842.2. So big accommodating move. Let me double check these numbers. I think I messed this one up. I'm going to move this over so I can see better. There we go. 3866974. 386. Yeah, this is wrong. 3866974.03. That's correct. And he's still in these. And now he has 2 days to expiration. So he's taking them all the way in to DTE. Which is interesting because as I look back over this, I can see that he exited some of these longer term, the 15 Jan 21s, the 17s, and the 15s. And he got out of those like 2 months, a month/2 months in advance, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Okay. Another thing I'm noticing is we're now updating very close to one another. And I don't know why. Oh, these are 21s. These should all be 2020. Find 2021, replace with 2020. And then these should be 21. Okay. So now we're at the 14th. I also don't understand this. 14 Jan. Total gain 1245500. Hash 2600601.38. Value 7368601.38. Double check my numbers. Nope, I fucked up. I did the day gain. Man, your boy's off tonight. 3982750.43. 3982750.43. Okay. 2600 60138. That's good. 7368 60138. That's good. There's a slight variance between these, like a couple $100, so it could be a rounding thing. Interesting. And so now on the 14th. So he didn't exercise because the quantity is the same, price is the same. So there's no exercise here. He didn't add any more options. He simply took more cash in and he exited essentially with 1 DTE. So he exited the 20s, the 15 Jan 21s with 20 DTE, and he's holding the 16 April 21 12s. So this is 1 DTE is where he exited. So let's grab that formatting here. And then let's continue. And then I'll go through, let's finish out January because it looks like there's a handful left. Yeah, let's get through January, or at least most of it. And then we can switch and pivot to seeing like recent news, recent tinfoil, so we can spend a little more time on like recent stuff. We'll just spend the first part doing this. 21, because this is, I find this stuff interesting, but I also imagine some of you might not find it quite as enthralling, but I still do want to make sure that we get through all of this, even if it takes a little while. I think it's really important. So the total gain is 3932,750.43. I missed a penny there. 43. And then cash 26,00479.97. Value 7318,479.97. This looks like it matches. So I think that this is just a rounding issue. That's okay. And then we're holding the 16 April 21, or I'll just do 16 April, 12 calls. And now the expiration for these is 16 April 21. And then today's 19 Jan 21. So these are 87 DTE. Okay. No change in shares and still sitting on interesting. Still sitting on, man, why is that? So he's still sitting on $2.6 million, but the part that I actually don't understand is why his cash went down. His cash went down by $121. And I don't know why. Nothing else changed. The numbers all line up, so the variance in like portfolio value and stuff lines up. I just don't understand that. The 19th. We'll do the 22nd, which shows no change again. This is 22 Jan, but he's posting way more frequently. Again, way more frequently, starting from December. Total gain is 7790,250.43. I imagine some of it has to be him being like any of us would be, which is just being like, this is fucking crazy. And he's got to enjoy like showing people how nuts this portfolio is going. 175,979.97. So clear match there. And he's still holding those Aprils. And now 22 Jan. 21. 84 DTE. Cool. And we ride on. We're going to need more of these. Let us continue. 22 Jan. 25. 25. 21. Okay. And then total gain here is 8269,353.71. Cash is 4840,638.96. Value is 13,880,138.96. So money moved again, not much, but some. His account value should have been 2.704 and it's 2719, just in terms of account variance between those. So his account moved 2.7, it should have moved 2.719. So it looks like some cash came out. Drop those. And then now we went forward 3 days. So it's 81 DTE. And we continue. I have to move my little chicken scratch math here out of the way. And then, cool. Well, I'll take a pause so far. And anything jumping out to anybody that maybe I'm missing? Because so far it looks like we're holding. I'm a little surprised that he's allowing the cash to come up as high as it is, right? So if we take a look at the positions, we can see some of this was trimmed off. So we can see that the 16 April, the 12s, they were at 1,000. So he's taken 200 of those down. So that's why we see this change in that. So he's holding this, but it's a partial profit. So this would be partial profit on 16 April, 12 calls, and he did 200 lots sold. And this is 81 DTE, so really far out in time. So this is one of the great mysteries that I have in my mind when I look at him. Let's take a look at what this looked like on the day. So this is 25 Jan. I want to zoom it in so that it's like just a month. So the 25th, it started popping up massively. So this looks like him taking profits. This is like the first time I've gotten a glimpse of him doing something that looks like taking profits. Which is really interesting because if I look at this from a timing perspective, again, from like a standard trading line of thought, this is not at all where I would take profits personally. And it's because it's like, it's been trending sideways for a while and then it starts really exploding up. I mean, to me, this looks like exactly where I wouldn't want to take profits. I would want to let them go. And the options still have over 80 days to expiration. So just yet another really, really interesting thing. Roaring Clitty says getting up to 2.6 million wasn't taking profits. Not the same. So what I notice in these other trades here is these other trades, like exiting the 17s and the 15s, I would call that taking profits. because in this case, it's very clear that these still had plenty of time left and he's taking some value off the table. Then we have this example with the 10s and the 20s, which is not about taking profit at all. That's very clear because he holds them all the way in almost to 10 DTE for the 10s, and he takes those down again, which doesn't make sense. So this one is very confusing to me. Then he holds the 20s essentially up until 1 DTE, which also is not profit taking. In that case, his hand is forced by time. So here, when he's managing further out in time, I consider that profit taking because it's being done when the options aren't expiring. There's plenty of time left. That's also what I notice here, is that there is still plenty of time left in these options. But the fact that he's choosing to take profits there tells me that it's based on something resembling to profit. It's not being based on time. This is the fun stuff to me. Like, to be able to analyze this level of detail and to gather these kinds of components is so interesting to me. Future Whale 747, I literally love that name, says, have you ever investigated someone's trades the way you're doing with Keith right now? No, absolutely not. And I mean, to be honest, the majority of the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm doing it with you guys. I think that this adds a lot of color to the story. But I personally, like, if I was doing this in my own, research, I wouldn't go into this layer of detail. What I would do is just gloss over the trades. But since the entire GameStop story has a really critical component being Roaring Kitty, then I think that, like, understanding his movements here is really, really important. So yeah, no, definitely not to like going line by line like this, because I've said it a million times. I really don't care what other traders do. Like, it makes no difference to me. I'm going to trade the way that I trade, the way that I've been trading for almost 20 years now, and I'm going to keep doing just that. So what other people do is generally completely, I don't care. Now for him, it's very unique because he's also this strange actor in the space that does things so differently. That's very, very fun to watch. So yeah, it's definitely unique, the layer of detail I'm going here. Blonde Swayze says, but at 1 DT he still made the most profit. No. Let's double check. So at 1 DTE, that was on the 14 Jan update. Well, they were gone. 13, they were here. Yeah, definitely. So those are at 3140, 39. Yeah, so he would have made over $1 million on those calls here. So definitely. He ended up getting at the very, and again, like, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. I personally do not view this as some sort of like really great timing. In this case, he got really lucky with respect to the pop happening when it did to drive the profit that much. Because again, like, if you go back to 11 Jan, his total gain was $122,000 and it popped to over $1 million in 2 days later. So like that is pure fucking luck. And the other component that these are tied to, expiring 4 days from here. So what I can tell you is that Roaring Kitty at this point, these were going to be whatever they were going to be. Either he was going to take them in and he was going to lose this amount of money, which he didn't care about, obviously, or they were going to be something he wanted to take down. And that's why he chose to not take it into expiration, but take it down before expiration, is because they had perceivably made enough that he cared enough. And he would have taken them down either not the 13th, he would have taken them down on the 14th. Because I think you guys have told me he posts these after the market close. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, in this case, it is without a doubt, a just magical dose of luck that led to that kind of pop in that time frame, which is incredible. Super, super cool to see. But yeah, definitely very lucky, because he would have taken them down here on the 14th. Blonde Swayze said he paid less than $1 and exited when it multiplied heavily. He just YOLO'd his money and got less sensitive with time. Sort of. Yeah, sort of. I think there's a little bit more to this than just that, but yeah, in this case, he, at least with those options, it was just very fortunate that they came in where they did. That's all. At least that's the way I look at it. That's not to say, again, that there's not some element of skill. Obviously, there's an element of skill. But the problem is with this specific scenario, it was within a couple days of expiration, and he essentially had a 10th of what these ended up showing. So that ended up just being really, really fortunate timing. But yeah. Let's go to 25th. Yeah, we have like 4 left of these. So this is perfect. And then we can jump into the tin foil. So now actually is a great time to start thinking about any of the tin foil stuff or any theories or anything specifically that we want to take a look at. I think we should take a look at the movements on Friday for sure. But then if there's anything else that you're interested, this would be a good time to start genning that part of your brain up. 17, 234, 853.71. Hash 4840 638.95. Value 845 638.95. And we're still holding the remainder. So we're holding 816 April, 12 calls. And this is now 79 DTE. Cool. No other change. Count value same, no change. This is now 20, wait, what? This is 26 Jan. I fucked up the date. So this is 80 DTE. And then now he's on 27 Jan. 27 Jan 21. Total gain 378. Aha. 008.63. Hash 13.840.298.84. What do you guys notice here? Value 47,973.298.84. Cash delta. I messed something up here. There's something very, very different here. So 33,378,008.63 is correct. 13,840,298.84 is correct. Then 47,973,298.84 is correct. 25, 127, 25, 12. And he also pulled money out of the account. So here we had another partial profit, which was 300 lots, holding 500 of the 16 April 12 calls. So this tells me something really important, actually. 79 DTE. Vladimir says January 27th was the day that the buy button was turned off for Robinhood users. Got it. Yeah. So what this tells me is that he's scaling out. Like he's absolutely scaling out. I can watch it real time. So he first started scaling out on the 25th here. He let that run. Then on the 27th, he started scaling out more, but it was a relatively light scale out. And then he kept the shares and he kept still 500 of those contracts. But again, this tells me very much that this is profit taking again. This is not him looking for value. This is not him waiting for a specific amount of time to pass or just to see what happens over a course of time. These options still have 79 DTE, and he just opted to start scaling out. That's exactly what that tells me. Same amount of shares so far. That's the 27th, 28 Jan. Total gain here, 18,575,008.63. Hash 13. It looks like exactly the same as this, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. And then value is 33,170,298.84. So he's also clearly leaving the majority of capital in the account, but he's taking like 10,000, 20,000. He's taking little bits of money out. Here he took 15,000, which again, like that's super clear to see. Here, again, like another 10,000. So he's taking like just normal amounts of regular people money out of these accounts. And now, so he's still holding 516 April 12 calls. And this is after another day's pass of 78 DTE. And then 29 Jan is the last one here. Is this the same thing? 28. Oh, I fucked this date up. This is 28 Jan 21. And then this is 29 Jan 21. Okay. So total gain 31,471,258.63. Hash 13,817. Again, more money moved here. No changes, so it looks like he pulled money out. 295.47. Value 46,043. 545.47. Oh no, it lines up. No money out. Look at the last price on that. 325. That's awesome. Off Putin says over 10 million in unrealized gains on the 12 calls on the 27th. The 500 remaining contracts cost him 10.26. Yeah, definitely. Brett says crazy that he didn't sell any covered calls at those levels. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I would have been, especially on 50,000, you could have absolutely offered. That's another thing that I think is important to know, actually, now that you mention it, is the fact that people seem to think that he's like running covered calls a lot. I don't actually see that. I see essentially no evidence that he runs covered calls at all. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't. It just means that I don't really see it. So yeah, cool. Well, we got through January of 2021, and our next one will be the 1st of Feb. I'm going to take a pause though on this part of things so that we can start taking a look at just some current date stuff if you guys want, or any other like theories or thesis that we want to take a look at. And then we'll obviously pick back up with this next week. But I did tell Newton that I would give him an update. So I'm going to text him really quick. All right. So ran through. What should I tell Newton? The main things I noticed are running through January. So January 2021. I noticed a few themes. The first theme that I noticed is that one particular options trade exiting in the money and keeping out of the money didn't make sense, but ended up working out of lucky price movement leading 2 days into expiration. Pam says, tell Newton that his hair is glorious. Okay. Pam says your hair is glorious. Pam from the chat. Okay. The other thing I notice is that previously I can see a habit. So I can see some habit of profit taking where options have longer time frames remaining, but he takes either full or partial exits. I can also see there are several instances of smaller amounts of money. So around like 10K, around 10K being withdrawn from the account a few times per month. What else do we see? Dark Mark says that the chat says hello. And what else do I see? The other thing I noticed is that he does hold like large cash positions for a little bit longer than I would expect. So that's another thing I would note. He maintains relatively large cash positions and doesn't immediately reallocate capital to either existing trades or placing new ones. Cool. That's my report. To our friend Newton. I'm going to grab a replacement sparkling water super fast, and then we will dive in and we'll take a look at the movement on Friday, and then we'll see if we have any ideas about that. So I'll be right back. All right, we back at it, and we have some Tylenol. Tylenol inbound. Roaring Clitty says, I want to see if RC's purchases in the past went dark pool or if they went lit. It doesn't really matter if they go dark pool or lit, because like you'll still see it in the volume. But yeah, let's take a look. So first, to do that, I would need you to help me find where is that on Newton's sheet? Do we have a log of RC purchases? I think so, right? I don't know where anything is on this. So yeah, I would need your help to help me see where those are on the sheet. Where on the sheet? Walk me on the target. Yeah, if you show me where it is, happy to take a look. And then we can go through and try to identify where it would have happened. But I don't know off the top of my head personally where that would have been. Check the Discord for a link to RC's 13D filing. Okay, cool. Let me pop in there. Got it. Okay. Thank you. And then, okay. 13D. This is from 10 June. Wait, what am I looking at? What did you give me? Vladimir, where do you get the, like, where are you getting those from? And then Rowan Clitty says, scroll down to AUG 2020. Got it. Here. Vladimir says Edgar. Okay, got it. Yeah, if you have a list of the actual filings, that would be super helpful. RC Ventures, yep. Okay. So 36847. This is from recent though. This is 10 June 2024. Is this the one that we want to look at, or do we want to look at this one that was further back? Because we can figure out first filed AUG 28. Okay, cool. So then let's start here. So the first thing is, let's see then if I grab, where is my stuff here? We go here. Let's see how far back we can go at this DME. And then this was, you told me 28 AUG. Nada. I don't think that that's a limitation in terms of it didn't happen. We just might not know it. So it'd probably be easier to look at the more recent one. So the more recent one you gave me is from 10 June 2024. So let's look at that one really fast. 10 June. June 2024. Nothing? This just doesn't sound right. I don't understand this. Weird. So I can't see here, at least for the time being. I don't know why. That part's kind of interesting to me. Yeah, I don't get it. From this Friday? Yeah, I looked at this in Friday, but that's a good fact check to see. So what, the 20th? Oh, great call. It's got to be something with... No, I mean, because this is... It's got to be something with the date tool. I think that's what it is. Because notice how... Wait a minute. What the fuck is happening right now? Something is... Hold on, something's wrong here. Because yesterday, I'm selecting yesterday, and it's showing me the 19th. And it's showing today is the... What? What the hell is going on right now? I'm just going to kill this one. And then let's grab a new one. And let's see if we can fix this. So GME, let's take a look at the 20th and see if that filter... Okay, so that filter worked. Okay, great. Here we go. All right, so we're back at it. So here's the 20th. This filtered correctly, so that's good. So now let's take a look at... you told me it was 10 June. Let's go to 10 June. There we go. Okay, great. This is good. So I can see this. Let's sort it by size and see if his order went through. Because his order was 36,847. So it looks like his order, if it went through the dark pool, it was broken up. It didn't go through as a solid order. That's the date that it went through, right? Yeah, date of, yep, 10 June 2024, 10 June 2024, yep. So this would have captured it. So it tells me that his order didn't go through, RC's order specifically, didn't go through in a solid block. So that means it would have been broken up to some degree for whatever reason. So yeah. 36,847 are his total holdings. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Where's the... I see the sole voting power. So where does it show the... I see. This is just a standard update. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so where was his last transaction? That's what I need. Because I see what you mean. This is just talking about his total. This is just the standard amendment. Yeah. I went through it a little too fast. Sorry. So yeah, let's take a look at August. we can take a look at the August dates and see if anything pops up there. The problem though is I need to know how many shares from the Edgar filing. Can you guys drop that in the Discord so I can take a look? Dr. Zayas, is that what you dropped in here? No, that's from December. Ryven says 9 June 2023. Okay, let's take a look at that one. Okay, cool. 253,000 shares. Thank you. So let's go to 2023. June 2023. Okay. And 253,000 shares. So yeah, here it got broken up as well. Not a solid transaction. So the only reason why this really matters is the fact that it's not like a solid transaction means we can't clearly delineate when they've happened is what it boils down to. So yeah, it's limited efficacy to tell whether it went through dark pool or lit exchange. But again, remember, if it goes through a dark pool, it's still like, if it's reported here, this isn't an internalized order. It's why we can see it. So the fact that we can see it tells me it's not internalized, and it tells me this is still hitting the consolidated tape, right? Because that's another thing is I see people mix up what this volume thing means. That volume is cumulative. So you'll see if you sort by time and go down, the volume is always going to be less. And then as you go up, it's always going to be higher. And then the volume that you see here is going to match if we look at it on a chart. So if we go to, for example, we'll use the most recent one. So let's go to yesterday. It's doing the weird thing again, but whatever. Go to today, and you can see that the volume here is 62 million, right? So that's telling me that the volume for GameStop over the day was 62 million or whatever at the point that that came in. If I look at the volume here, the volume is 61,919,000. The volume is 62 million. So I see a lot of people kind of confused by that, but that's the volume that you see here and the trades that you see here are going to hit the consolidated tape. That's why they're here. But the nature of a dark pool is that they're slightly delayed. That's the only reason why they exist, is to try to prevent front running. But it's not, the name is way more nefarious than what they actually are. I think most people confuse dark pool orders with internalized orders, which are very different. Internalized orders do not hit the consolidated tape. However, an internalized order at some point would have already hit the tape because of the original transaction that occurred. Now, it doesn't help with any sort of sense of market efficiency, transparent markets at all. So that's the problem with internalized orders, is that we're not seeing updated transactions there. So when we're looking at this, this is all stuff that still eventually hits the consolidated tape. That Lauren says on Friday, a lot of volume came in pre and after hours. Is that why? Partially. It's because a lot of larger institutions will access the market during pre and post trading hours. It's because there's also a tendency for larger trades to come in towards the beginning of the day and towards the end of the day. You'll find this almost any single day that you look at the market, where if we do, let's do like a 5-day, 5-minute chart. If you take a look at the volume midday, pretty much every day, even here where volume was really high on a relative basis, you'll still see volume slump towards the middle of the day. This is very, very common. Now there's always anomalies, right? So volume spiked up for this a little bit, but then still came down. That's just very, very normal to see volume towards the beginning and the end of the day. There's nothing really remarkable about that. That's just standard market activity. That's why, like, professional traders like myself, most of my transactions are done towards the end of the day. I don't trade a ton intraday. I'll trade like 0 DTEs and stuff like that intraday, or, you know, during more like non-normal portions of the day. But even as a professional retail trader, I'm still trading at a size that doesn't really matter. I don't need a ton of liquidity to do most of what I do. So, yeah. Vladimir says funds rebalanced on Friday. Yeah, well, it's rebalancing. It was also triple witching. But the problem is with stuff like triple witching, it happens so frequently now that it's really not that big a deal. People, I think, it still matters to a degree, but it's not as big of a deal as it used to be, because triple witching, or what used to be quad witching, which is essentially has gone away and is consolidated into triple witching now, is there's so many expirations now that it really is, I don't want to call it superfluous. It's not quite that insignificant, but it's nowhere near as significant as we used to, hold it in regard with. So it's a little more mellow. So yeah, awesome. Super, super fun. I love getting into the trades for Roaring Kitty. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about actually is, I don't know if you are familiar with the dude named Peruvian Bull. I think that's his name on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the name on Twitter. And so he and we're going to do a live session, I think probably next Thursday is the current game plan. So I don't know if there's anything in particular that you think we should cover or I should, bring up with him. But the game plan is, I don't know him. So the game plan is just to bullshit with him a little bit, understand some of his background, and then to hopefully talk a little bit about just GameStop from his perspective, what he's seen, and then kind of analyze what's going on in GameStop together. But I think the game plan is to do that on a live stream. I think so. It might be a recorded podcast that goes out. I'm undecided yet, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see exactly how it gets structured, but the plan is to do that, like I said, next week. So if there's anything that you think would be good for us to talk about or cover, just let me know, and then I can add it to an agenda, because that's the hope, is to start just exploring the whole thing from different angles. I'm going to have Dave Lauer back on my podcast. I do like a monthly podcast for Irvin Finance with them, but I'll have Dave Lauer on my podcast, I think next week or the week after. So we'll talk a little bit about market structure, kind of some of the anomalies of something like GameStop and stuff like that. So that is the game plan. As always, absolute blast hanging out. Let me know if there's anything that we should take a look at. Be an outlier or an ape or both. I'll see you all later.